Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the biggest headaches on any UK construction site, that absolute mountain of health, safety, security, and environment paperwork. You know the drill. It's a world of constant checks, endless forms, and chasing signatures. But what if we could flip that around? What if we could shift the focus from just chasing paperwork to actually having instant, verifiable proof? Let's take a look at how we can get from stacks of paper to a state of being constantly ready for any audit.
You know, this single sentence just gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? Every site manager knows their primary job is keeping people safe. But there's a second job, one that's equally critical, and that is proving it. Because if an incident happens, or an inspector walks through that gate, all the great work you did doesn't mean a thing without the proof. And that proof, well, it lives in the paperwork. So just how big is this paperwork universe we're talking about? Honestly, it's way more than just a few forms. Let's start by breaking down the sheer scale of documents you need just to keep a typical project running safely and legally. Now, what's really interesting here is the fundamental tension this reveals. On one hand, all your documentation, your plans, your controls, your inspections, is all designed to prevent harm from happening in the first place. But on the other hand, every single one of those documents has to create a perfect auditable record. You've got to prove exactly who did what, when they did it, and where. It's basically two full-time jobs rolled into one.
And this right here, this is the result. It's a relentless stream of documents. You've got your big, overarching construction phase plan. Then there's the daily grind of RAMs for every single task. You need permits for any high-risk work like hotworks or confined spaces. Not to mention the endless site inspections, LOLA reports for lifting gear, training records for every single person on site. And that's just when everything is going right.
So, all this paper, it comes with a very real and very high cost. And I'm not just talking in pounds and pence, but in time and in project momentum. Let's try and quantify exactly what that looks like.
Just think about that for a second. Every single day, a site supervisor can spend up to 3.5 hours just chasing, checking, signing, scanning, and filing paper. That's nearly half their days swallowed by administration, not actually managing the work and keeping people safe out on site. It's a colossal drain on productivity.
And what happens when that paperwork isn't perfect? Well, if the health and safety executive finds what they call a material breach, they can charge you a fee for intervention. We're talking a direct billable cost of £183 an hour for their time to fix your problem. And that clock isn't just running while they're on site. Oh no, it includes every email and phone call afterwards too.
But honestly, that fee for intervention is often the least of your worries. The true cost, the one that can absolutely cripple a project, is delay. If an inspector stops a critical activity just because you can't find the right permit, everything just grinds to a halt. You're paying for labor standing around idle, you're disrupting all your subcontractors, and you're desperately trying to resequence the entire project on the fly.
So how do you break this cycle? This endless loop of chasing paper and reacting to problems? Well, it requires a fundamental shift in how you think, moving away from managing disconnected files and adopting a true digital operating system for your site's health and safety.
And this right here is the key difference. On the left, you've got what a lot of people call digital, but what it really is a chaotic swamp of PDFs, emails, and photos scattered across different laptops and servers. It's impossible to find what you need when you need it. On the right, you have an operating system. Everything is centralized, intelligently connected, and instantly searchable. It's not just a digital filing cabinet, it's a digital command center. Okay, so let's get practical. How does a system like Safely actually take these big ideas and turn that chaos into real-world control on a busy construction site? Let's look at some of the most common pain points.
Right. Let's start with a classic nightmare scenario. A risk assessment gets updated, but someone, somewhere, prints out an old version. An operative gets briefed on outdated information. Then, when the inspector asks for proof of that briefing, you can't be 100% sure who saw which version. It is an absolute recipe for disaster.
With a controlled digital system, that chaos just evaporates. First off, all your RAMs live in one single place. That's your definitive source of truth. Second, every single change creates a new controlled version, so you always know what's current. And third, and this is the absolute key, you capture digital proof of who was briefed on which specific version at what time. That whole wrong version risk is just eliminated, gone.
Oh, here's another one we've all seen, right? A site inspection form where every single box is ticked OK with zero detail, no photos, no real evidence that anything was actually checked properly. It's paperwork that proves, well, absolutely nothing. This is where digital forms, like Safely Forms, completely transform things. By using mandatory fields and requiring photo evidence for critical items, you turn a useless tick box exercise into valuable time-stamped proof that the job was done, and more importantly, that it was done right. Now, what about the things that just get forgotten? You know, that weekly scaffold inspection or the monthly fire extinguisher check? In the mad rush of a busy site, it's dangerously easy for these routine but absolutely critical tasks to fall through the cracks. This is exactly where a digital task calendar becomes your safety net. So, in Safely, you turn every recurring HSSE obligation into a scheduled task. The system then sends out automatic reminders and can even escalate overdue items to management. It's all about moving from relying on someone's memory to relying on an automated, proactive system that makes sure nothing ever gets missed.
And this slide, this is the real aha moment. This is where it all just clicks together. A digital form isn't just a form anymore. It's the evidence that closes out a scheduled task. That task lives on a supervisor's daily dashboard. A signed briefing record is automatically and permanently linked to the correct version of a RAMS document. Everything feeds into a central dashboard, giving you a real-time single source of truth for your site's compliance.
So, what's the ultimate payoff for having this connected, intelligent system? It's simple. It means your site is audit-ready, not just at the end of the month, but every single minute of every single day. Just imagine the scene for a moment. The HSE inspector is at the gate. They want to see the hot works permit from this morning, the scaffold inspection from last Tuesday, and the training records for the crew working at height. Now, for many, this is a moment of pure panic. Frantic phone calls, a desperate search through folders and filing cabinets. But with Safely, it's a completely different story. It's calm. It's controlled. You simply select the date range and the activity you're looking for. The system then instantly assembles a complete, verified evidence pack. Every form, every signature, every photo, and every record, all perfectly organized. What used to take hours of stressful searching now takes about 30 seconds. And that right there is the ultimate transformation. You go from that sinking feeling of, I hope we can find it, to the absolute confidence of providing instant, verifiable proof for every single safety-critical activity on your project. So the final question to leave you with is this. You spend enormous amounts of time, money, and expertise creating these robust safety plans. But is your proof, the actual evidence that you are following that plan, just as robust? Because in the end, that's what truly matters.